Okay, folks, Andrew Bobros here. Well, I've got an interesting video today. I want to talk about our offensive line and one player, Zion Johnson, that might actually be traded before the season. There's a few targets that he could go to. Some teams may need a new guard. Well, actually, quite a few teams need new guards. And depending on how the draft plays out, we might see Zion Johnson move. So, plenty to talk about, guys. It's going to be an interesting video. So, as always, you know how we do here. Let's get into it. Okay, as always, like and subscribe if you do enjoy the content. I'm Andrew Bopros. Again, talking about Zion Johnson and really the offensive line in general. We all know the moves that we've made. We signed Mekhi Becton. We've obviously signed Andre James. Zion Johnson, number 77, right there in the photo here. This man right here. Look at these arms. Yowzers. Strong boy, dude. Come on now. Come on now. Might not be with the Chargers next season. I'm just going to explain why. There's quite a few articles that have been written about this recently that he could be trade bait. Now, again, Andre James most likely will be the center over Bradley Bozeman, number 75 here. But we are replacing Trey Pipkins. This is obviously Jamari Sawyer, the backup right guard, with Mekhi Becton. So let's talk about the teams that might take Zion Johnson. I'm going to give you my opinion as to why I think that may happen, may not happen. The draft and also camp is really going to determine whether or not these gentlemen get traded away. It's a good problem to have, guys. I mean, let's be very clear about this. It's a very good problem to have a lot of depth in all these positions. And these teams can look at the Chargers and say, hey, we need your guy. All right, great. We'll give you a fourth round pick. When there may be a competitive team that needs to get a offensive weapon, like a great offensive lineman like we have, they're going to make him pay up for it. So it's a good spot. I'm going to get into all that, the strategy involved in it, and why this is such a good position for the Chargers to be in. So let's get into it. So again, Zion Johnson, let's just talk about Zion for a second. First and foremost, first round pick, we all know Ron Tabasco scooped him up, Brandon Staley, a.k.a. BS. But, man, he is one of the strongest guys. He's fit. I mean, he doesn't really look like an offensive lineman. I mean, let's just go back, right? Zion Johnson's like, big, gut, Joe Alt's young, gut. My point is he doesn't quite look like an offensive lineman, right? I mean, he's really athletic, really fast. That's actually partially why I liked him as a center potentially. But let's talk about some of the teams that I think could potentially want him, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the rest of the offensive line moving forward. So the first off team that probably would want to potentially get him would be Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the problem with the Bengals, you and I all know this, they have spent so much damn money on the offense. You've got to keep Joe Burrow healthy, right? Again, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Gesicki got an extension, right? So he's got his weapons, but you need to protect Burrow, okay? The guards, not great. They literally probably the league's worst guards in the NFL. So getting a guy like him would be big. Now, what would you give up for him? Who knows, right? I've seen probably a fourth round pick is what I'm seeing. So we'll see how that plays out. Derek Carr, the New Orleans Saints. Again, we all know that Kellen Moore, who knows Zion Johnson intimately, might want somebody for Derek Carr. He's coming back for another season. And again, he knows that, he knows what he gets in Zion Johnson. I think you could do a lot with him. Again, as we talked about, Zion Johnson could also be moved to center. There'll be three centers on our roster at this point. Now, I don't think he'll be moved to center because of Andre James specifically, and Bradley Bozeman is back. But my point is, Zion is someone that can be moved, and that's the argument, right? But again, Kellen Moore knows Zion Johnson could potentially be another fit. The New England Patriots. Now, I would say the Patriots probably the worst place that he could go to. Again, if he has any say in it, and if he druthers, I would say he does not want to go to the Patriots. They're probably going to be a bit of a dumpster fire, but they're going to run the ball. Mike Vrabel is there now. Zion Johnson is a very strong guy. They might try him at center. They might try him at different places, different positions. And, you might see some of his flexibility. But Drake May needs some help on that offensive line for sure. So we'll see what happens in this scenario, right? Now, the other one, which I think could also be a good fit, would be the Baltimore Ravens. Now, whether they go with the Ravens, look, the Ravens are, look, I don't know that we're going to trade to the Ravens. The guards have not played great at the Ravens. Zion Johnson would fit very well there within what the Ravens do. He obviously understands the offense for the most part. That's where Greg Roman came from and all the above. So he would be a good fit, good system fit for the Ravens. But would you want to trade him to a rival that you might see in the playoffs? Most likely not. So again, we'll see how it plays out. So that's the article. That's kind of where this rumor is starting and the inspiration behind this video. But I wanted to get into a little bit of why I think that may be a little bit misplaced and it could go somewhere else. So again, you got Bradley Bozeman. Bradley Bozeman most likely will not be the starting center this season because of the contract that we gave Andre James. I would assume we're probably going to start Andre James over Bradley Bozeman unless Bozeman absolutely balls out in camp. Now, so I asked myself this question, right? Okay, and I'm just going to make a blanket statement. Teams have injuries. People also, if you're entering the draft, this is where you want to be in the draft when you enter the draft. A lot of capital. You have a lot of players on your organization. You have a lot of cards to play. And the Chargers now have a lot of cards to play on the offensive line. And guess what? What if you're the Patriots? What if you're the Bengals? What if you're these teams that are trying to, maybe, even New Orleans, right? And you wanted to get a guard, you wanted to get a center, you wanted to get a right tackle or a left tackle, and you didn't get it. Guess what? They're going to be calling the Chargers because guess what? We have a backup center, Bradley Bozeman's very serviceable, a good guard that could potentially be moved, and a really good right tackle that could potentially move that has also played right guard. Again, it gives freedom and flexibility. And depending on what happens, again, Bradley Bozeman could be moved. We might draft another guard. Who knows? We'll see how that plays out. We could draft a guard. I mean, look, I truly believe the Chargers are going to get the best available player. And even because we have these players now does not mean they are given a roster spot. Competitors welcome, folks. So remember, Bradley Bozeman can be moved on one of these teams. What if a player gets hurt in camp, right? Let's say 5 weeks before the season, broken leg, can't start, not going to be able to play. Well, you know what? You lost your right tackle. Guess what? We got Trey Pipkins. Do you want him? Good. He's going to be, you got to pay up for him. Now, the argument could be made this, right? We already have a large contract for Pipkins. You could easily move Pipkins to left guard and then put Andre James at center. And that's probably an easier fix, right? And then Bradley Bozeman would be the swing. You trade away Johnson. That's really where the conversation makes sense. But I think it's also really going to depend on what happens in the draft for these teams. And also secondarily, what happens in camp leading up to the season. So again, it's a very intricate way of saying, let's wait and see. I do think it's interesting to have the conversation because I do think something could happen with one of these three players. I do think one of them could get moved. Andre James most likely would be our starting center. Obviously, we know Mekhi Becton's going to be our right guard. But what's going to happen? Bozeman, Zion Johnson, Trey Pipkins. I think one of these three will most likely get moved depending on the scenario. So I'm excited to see how it plays out. Again, what are your thoughts? Who do you think we should move? Again, the idea if you move Trey Pipkins, you save a lot of money. You save $9 million. You could do a lot of different things with that money, but we'll see how it plays out, guys. So want to give you a short video. I know it was an interesting topic. I thought it was interesting. I read a couple articles on it. I thought, you know what, probably good conversation point. But as always, Andrew Bolt Bros. See you guys in the next one.
Hey, what's up? Cameron Dick here watching Bolt Bros podcast. Let's go.
Charged up, Bolt Bros on the night.